Hey viewers and friends, Andrew back again and welcome to another video. And for this video I'm doing the New Zealand and Australia part of the Movie World Tour. Really excited for this. I've been anticipating this video right from when I started this series. And of course everyone knows I live in Australia, but the majority of you probably aren't aware that I'm actually from New Zealand. So both of these countries and their movies do hold a pretty special place in my heart, and yeah, they've both countries have released and produced some amazing movies, especially Australia. I mean, with the scenery and just the diversity in cultures and cities and locations, it just makes for some amazing cinema. So yeah, really excited. I've just decided, I could have talked about every movie that I own or have seen, but I've just pulled aside some of my personal favourites, so let's get into it. We'll start with New Zealand first. Unfortunately I don't own too many movies from New Zealand, but of course I've seen a lot of them, so I'm going to talk about the ones that I own first and then mention some that I don't own but have seen. So the first one is Bad Taste. Peter Jackson's very first movie and my personal favourite Peter Jackson movie. I know a lot of people go on and on about Lord of the Rings, and I mean, they're good movies, but personally I think you cannot go wrong with his earlier work. In my opinion, his earlier work is better. So this is Bad Taste, amazing movie, one of my personal favourites, and it shows off the sort of New Zealand culture and language really well. Just some funny moments throughout, great dialogue, and yeah, just a great fun time. The next one is another Peter Jackson movie, and this one stars Kate Winslet. It's called Heavenly Creatures. Out of all his movies, I'd say this is probably his most underrated one. It's certainly the one that people never seem to mention, at least straight away. This is an amazing movie. It's based on a true story about two young female lovers in a private college, and yeah, just how they sort of develop their relationship with each other, and yeah, unaccepting parents and society and stuff like that. Really good. It's actually based off a true story about the two characters. I'm not going to give too much away if you haven't seen it, because there's a lot more to the storyline and I don't want to spoil it. It is very dark, it does get dark towards the end, but this is actually the first movie that Weta Workshop, Peter Jackson's special effects company, got involved with, and the special effects are amazing in this. So if you haven't checked it out and you're a fan of Peter Jackson or drama movies, highly recommend it. Then the last one that I own from New Zealand is Goodbye Pork Pie. This is a road movie from the 80s, and it's just a ton of fun about two people who steal a yellow Mini, as you can see on the front cover there, and they're travelling from Auckland all the way down from Invercargill, so from one end of New Zealand to the other, and they're being pursued by the police the whole way. And of course, being a good classic road movie, they come across some pretty eccentric characters throughout their journey, so a lot of fun. Goodbye Pork Pie. So that's all I own from New Zealand, but some other ones that are really good are Whale Rider. That's an amazing movie. Once Were Warriors, that's really good. And another one that I never hear too many people mention, but I really enjoyed it, is An Angel at My Table. That's based off the true story of the life of Janet Frame, so that's definitely one to check out as well. There are some, I'm probably forgetting quite a few, but those are the ones that I really enjoyed that come to the top of my head. So that's the New Zealand side. Now on to the Australian side. So the first one I'm going to talk about is this one here, Two Hands with Heath Ledger. This was one of Heath Ledger's earlier movies, and it's really good. Out of all the Australian movies from the 90s, this probably gives the best look at the sort of seedy drug underworld side of Sydney. I'd probably consider this to be Australian's version of This Is England, maybe. I know the story and characters are kind of different, but it reminds me a lot of that, but the Australian version of it. So if you haven't checked this one out, I'd highly recommend doing so. It's excellent movie. Next is a Aboriginal based movie or themed movie, and it is truly amazing. This is definitely an Australian movie that I'd highly recommend above the majority of others that I'm mentioning in this video, and that is Rabbit Proof Fence. This gives a really good background into Aboriginal culture from the 1930s. Basically, probably a lot of people that don't live in Australia are unaware of this, but basically in the 1930s, Aboriginal children were stolen from their families to be raised in white society, and it's basically about these 3 young girls who are taken away from their family and sent to sort of a camp, I guess you could say, to be shown the white way. And basically they follow a rabbit-proof fence back home. Absolutely amazing movie. Phenomenal performances from the 3 young girls, especially the main character, who's absolutely amazing in this. Of course, a lot of great scenery from the outback and all that. But yeah, I highly recommend checking this out. Excellent movie. The next one is a fairly recent release, and it's based off a true story about 2 serial killers, Robert Wagner and John Bunting, I think. And that is Snowtown. Yeah, I think this came out last year or this year even, I'm not too sure. Really good, pretty brutal and hard to watch in parts, but if you're a fan of serial killers, I'd highly recommend this one. It's really good. And this is pretty much a full cast of unknown actors who did a really good job, I thought. Better hurry up along. Next up we have The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this one. This is one of the sort of more well-known Australian movies. Great movie, just a ton of fun. Next up we have Rogue, which is a fun little creature feature about a killer crocodile. I know a lot of you guys have seen this one. Next is a fairly recent horror movie called The Loved Ones. I'm not the biggest fan of this, but I did think it was really well done, and I enjoyed the cast, and the soundtrack was pretty good too. It's sort of a torture porn feature, kind of about a young girl who's obsessed with this guy, and she asks him out to prom night. He says no, and he gets kidnapped and tortured throughout the evening at her place. So yeah, not one of my personal favourites, but still definitely one to check out. This is probably, well, this is my favourite Australian horror movie, Wolf Creek. I know a lot of you have seen this one, you know about it, so I don't need to mention it. This too is based off a true story of a serial killer. So if you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend checking it out. Really good. Next up are, in my opinion, the best post-apocalyptic movies and must-own for Australian cinema fans. We have Mad Max, the original one, and then my personal favourite out of the series is The Road Warrior, or also known as Mad Max 2. I have seen Mad Max 3 Beyond the Thunderdome. I don't own it. But yeah, this is a fantastic post-apocalyptic movie that shows off the Australian outback really well. So if you haven't seen it, highly recommend checking this one out, but I'm sure most of you have. And 2 more. This is one that I grew up with and have loved from an early age and still really enjoy. And I'm really hoping they release this one on Blu-ray, because I think it could benefit from the Blu-ray treatment. That's this one's Storm Boy. This came out in 1976, I believe, and it's about a young boy, I forget where it's, South Australia. Him and his father live on the beach in a run-down shack, and he comes across a pelican which he names Mr. Percival, and it's just about his relationship throughout the movie with the pelican. Really, really good, absolutely beautifully shot, great cinematography, and a really, really emotional storyline as well. So if you haven't seen it, this one comes highly recommended. And the last one is my favourite Australian movie of all time, and I actually only saw it for the first time this year and was absolutely blown away by it, and it is BMX Bandits. If you haven't checked this one out, I cannot recommend it enough. Make this a high priority, especially if you are a fan of the Goonies. This truly is the Australian equivalent to the Goonies. This one stars the very young Nicole Kidman. This was her first role. Just a ton of fun, you know, great synth music. It's got that real 80s cheesy feel to it, and I absolutely love it. And the Blu-ray is really, really good as well. So there you go. That is my video for the Movie World Tour Australia and New Zealand. I hope you've enjoyed it, and yeah, if you've seen any of these titles, definitely let me know what you think of them in the comment section below. And if you haven't, check them out. They are all worth owning, especially if you are a fan of Australia and New Zealand cinema. So I've really enjoyed this video. Yeah, I was really anticipating the Australian and New Zealand side of the Movie World Tour, so I've had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, I hope I've given you guys some good recommendations for titles that you may not own, that you want to check out now. So that's it. Thanks for watching.